The Israelites are trapped. The Red Sea looms before them, vast and impassable. Behind them, the Egyptian army advances with the thunder of chariots and a rising cloud of dust. Fear seizes the Israelites. Their cries of desperation fill the air. They remember their slavery, the whips, the exhausting labor. An Israelite woman hugs her son, her face marked with worry. An old man collapses, too weak to go on, his eyes full of resignation. Moses rises before them, a figure of hope in the midst of despair. He is burdened by the weight of his people's fear and desperation. Close up on Moses' face, showing determination mixed with concern. He looks toward the sea, then toward the approaching army. Moses seeks divine intervention, a silent prayer on his lips. He climbs a small dune, his staff firmly gripped in his hand. The sun strikes him, highlighting his solitary figure. He lifts his staff toward the heavens, a gesture of unshakable faith. The Israelites watch him, their eyes filled with a mixture of hope and doubt. The Egyptian chariots draw nearer, their drivers urging them forward. The chariot wheels churn the sand, raising dust and debris. The cries of the Israelites grow louder, a chorus of fear and lamentation. Moses closes his eyes, focusing on his faith, ignoring the chaos around him. A close-up of his staff, a symbol of power and divine connection. The wind begins to rise slightly, stirring Moses' robes. He opens his eyes, his gaze fixed on the sky. A single tear rolls down his cheek, a testimony to his empathy. The Egyptian army is almost upon them. Their shadows stretch long. The Israelites huddle together, seeking comfort in numbers. A small child clings to his father's leg, his eyes wide with terror. Moses takes a deep breath, preparing for what is about to happen. He speaks with a voice clear and strong that cuts through the noise. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the salvation of the Lord. The Israelites look at him, a spark of hope in their faces. The Egyptian chariots stop, the drivers unsure what to do. Their leader shouts orders, his voice full of arrogance and disdain. Moses stretches out his staff even higher, his arm steady. The wind intensifies, whipping his hair around his face. The sea begins to churn. The waves grow larger, more violent. The Israelites gasp, their eyes wide with disbelief. The Egyptian soldiers watch in confusion, their confidence wavering. A dark cloud gathers above, casting a shadow over the scene. Lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating the turbulent sea. Thunder rumbles in the distance, a sign of divine power. Moses stands firm, his faith unshaken amid the storm. The sea continues to rage, waves crashing against the shore. A path begins to emerge, a strip of dry land, in the middle of the water. The Israelites stare in amazement. Their fear slowly turns to wonder. The Egyptian soldiers exchange nervous glances. Their bravado fades. Moses lowers his staff slightly, signaling the Israelites to move. Forward, he commands, his voice full of authority. The Israelites hesitate for a moment, then begin to move. They step onto firm ground, their feet sinking slightly into the sand. Towering walls of water rise on either side, a breathtaking spectacle. The Egyptian leader watches, his face twisted with rage. He orders his chariots to follow, his voice seething with fury. The chariots lurch forward, thundering onto the dry path. The Israelites continue their journey, their eyes fixed on the other side. The wind howls, the sea roars, but they press on. Their faith is their guide. Close-up of Moses' face, a look of determination and hope. The Egyptian chariots follow closely, their pursuit relentless. The journey is slow and arduous, but they are driven by hope. The distant shore beckons, a promise of freedom and salvation. The scene is set for the miraculous crossing. Moses stands on the dune, his staff raised, while the Israelites cry out in fear. The Egyptian chariots approach with thunder. A wall of dust rises behind them. Suddenly, a powerful wind begins to lash the Red Sea. The water churns violently, whitecaps forming on the surface. The wind intensifies, howling like a sandstorm. The sea begins to recede, revealing a strip of dry land. A path emerges, cutting through the heart of the sea. Walls of water rise on both sides, towering and menacing. Moses gazes in awe at the miraculous path. He turns toward the Israelites, his face full of determination. "Forward!" Moses orders, his voice strong and clear. The Israelites hesitate, fear etched on their faces. Moses steps onto the dry path, leading the way. A woman hugs her son and takes a tentative step forward. An old man leans on his staff, his eyes wide with disbelief. The Israelites begin to follow Moses. A slow, hesitant procession. The towering walls of water loom over them, a constant threat. The wind continues to howl, whipping their hair and clothing. The ground is muddy and uneven, making the journey difficult. The Egyptian army watches in stunned silence. Pharaoh in his chariot stares fixedly at the parted sea. A captain points and shouts orders to his soldiers. After them, he yells, his voice choked with rage. The Egyptian chariots advance, entering the dry path. The ground trembles as the chariots pursue the Israelites. The Israelites quicken their pace, fear driving them forward. A chariot will get stuck in the mud, slowing its advance. The driver whips his horses, urging them onward. The Israelites keep moving, their eyes fixed on the opposite shore. The sun beats down on them, increasing their exhaustion. Children cry, their voices lost in the wind. Moses lifts his staff, a beacon of hope in the chaos. The walls of water gleam in the sunlight. The Egyptians gain ground. Their chariots draw near. An Israelite stumbles and falls to the ground. Hands reach out to help her up, pulling her to safety. They continue their desperate journey, their faith their only shield. The far shore seems so close, yet so far. The lead chariot reaches the last of the Israelites. A soldier raises his spear, ready to strike. Moses prays, his voice a whisper in the wind. The Israelites press forward with strength, a final burst of energy. They reach the opposite shore and collapse onto the sand. The last of the Israelites is safe on the distant shore. The Egyptian chariots are halfway across the seabed. Moses turns to look at the sea, his staff raised high. He prepares to complete the miracle. The wind begins to die down. The waves grow calm. The water begins to tremble. The sea is changing. The Egyptians are trapped. They cannot escape. The walls of water begin to collapse. The sea is returning to its original state. The Egyptians panic. They scream. The water crashes down, engulfing the chariots. The Egyptian army is swallowed by the sea. The Israelites watch in awe and disbelief. Their pursuers are gone. They are finally free. Moses lowers his staff, his face full of relief. The Red Sea returns to its normal state. The path is gone. The miracle is complete. The Israelites press on wearily, the wind howling around them, with walls of sea rising high. The Egyptian chariots thunder closer, their wheels splashing through the shallow seabed. Moses watches from the front, his face carved with determination and a touch of concern. The last Israelites crawl to the far shore, collapsing from exhaustion and relief. Moses lifts his staff above his head, a silent command to the heavens. The wind stops abruptly. An unnatural calm, unsettling after the fury of the storm. The towering walls of water begin to tremble. A visible ripple runs through them. A collective cry rises from the Israelites as they realize what is about to happen. The first wave crashes down. A monstrous wall of water that engulfs the pursuing chariots. The screams of the Egyptian soldiers are cut short as the sea claims its victims. Chariots are tossed like toys, horses and men swallowed by the turbulent water. The Red Sea returns to its natural state. The path disappears beneath the waves. Silence descends, broken only by the murmur of waves against the shore. The Israelites stare in disbelief, witnessing the complete annihilation of their pursuers. A wave of joyful shouts erupts, a symphony of relief and gratitude. They raise their arms to heaven, praising God for his miraculous intervention. Moses turns to his people, his eyes shining with pride and renewed hope. He stretches out his hand, calling them forward, toward their destiny. The Israelites begin to sing a song of deliverance, their voices full of emotion. Miriam, Moses' sister, lifts her tambourine, leading the women in a dance of praise. The rhythm of tambourines resounds throughout the land, a celebration of freedom. Children laugh and play, their faces radiant with newfound joy. The older generation weeps tears of relief. Their prayers have finally been answered. Moses addresses the crowd, reminding them of their covenant with God. Remember this day, he proclaims. the day the Lord saved us. He speaks of the promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. The Israelites listen attentively, their hearts filled with anticipation. They begin to pack their belongings, preparing for the next stage of their journey. The sun rises higher in the sky, lighting their path forward. Moses leads the way, his staff held high as a symbol of hope and guidance. The Israelites follow behind, their steps full of purpose and determination. They march toward the horizon, leaving behind their past of slavery and oppression. The Red Sea glistens in the sunlight, a reminder of God's power and faithfulness. The journey to the promised land will be long and arduous, but they are not afraid. They have witnessed a miracle, and their faith is stronger than ever. The image of the parted sea remains forever etched in their memory. It will serve as a constant reminder of God's unfailing love and protection. The Israelites continue their march. Their voices rise in songs of praise. The sound travels across the wilderness, a testament to their resilience and faith. Moses looks back at the Red Sea for the last time. A sense of peace washes over him. He knows that God will continue to guide them on their journey. He turns his face forward, focusing on the road ahead. The promised land awaits, a beacon of hope in the distance. The Israelites are ready to face whatever challenges come their way. They are a people united by their faith and their shared experience. The parting of the Red Sea has transformed them into a nation. They are no longer slaves, but a free people on a mission. The sun sets on the horizon, casting a golden glow upon their faces. They set up camp for the night, resting and preparing for the journey ahead. The stars shine in the sky, a reminder of God's eternal presence. Moses sits by the fire, reflecting on the events of the day. He knows the journey to the promised land will not be easy, but he trusts that God will lead them to victory. He closes his eyes and prays, asking for strength and guidance. The Israelites sleep peacefully, knowing they are safe in God's hands. At dawn, the journey continues toward the promised land. The memory of the Red Sea, a symbol of freedom. Their faith is their shield, their hope, their guide. They are the children of Israel, destined for greatness, toward a future full of promise, blessed by God.